the 11th? Or are you serving? Maybe.
Check my audio. Check my check 1 2 3 4 5. Mic check 1 2 1 2 3 4 5. Sounds good. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. You got me? Awesome. Hi, buddy.
Hey, Jody. I think we're about ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Check, check, check.
Deputy Chief. Fair enough. Fair enough.
We don't have a working PA system here, so you want to speak up a little bit.
Okay.
Jody Willoughby.
Mike Lewis.
Yeah,
Nice to
nice
meet
to
you.
finally meet you.
Everybody, do I need to handle mics in any way, or everybody good? As far as we know. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. Good morning. I'm Steve Marshall, Attorney General of Alabama, and I appreciate those that are here for what is becoming an all too frequent occurrence for us, and that is to announce multi-state skimming arrests for those who are out trafficking in identity theft and able to convey that information to steal from both institutional victims as well as individual victims. Here with me this morning, I appreciate the fact that Southside Mayor Wally Burns is present, Police Chief from Southside Chris Jones, Deputy Chief Philip Robertson, my friend DA Jody Willoughby, as well as the representative from the ASAC from the Secret Service, Billy Witherington. These are task force cases. These take multi-jurisdictions to be able to work and to be able to ultimately arrive at the goal, which is to hold offenders accountable that engage in this particular conduct. The purpose of today's announcement is really twofold, one of which is to acknowledge the hard work of many agencies, specifically Southside Police Department, in making both the arrest as well as an arrest warrant against two offenders that are from Macon, Georgia, but also is to raise again the issue of awareness involving skimming operations so that we can allow both our institutional victims as well as individual victims to be aware of what's going on when they use credit or debit cards, and also try to provide information to keep folks from being victims like those that we'll talk about in this particular case. Today is an arrest involving two individuals who were engaged in a 4-state operation that caused over 300 individuals and 7 separate financial institutions to be victims, with a loss that, at least as of yesterday, was over $43,000. Based on a conversation with the chief this morning, I think that number will rise to over $50,000. Two individuals, we have their photographs to your left, one of which is already in custody, Janique Shante Crafter, age 29, of Macon, Georgia. We also have an arrest warrant relating to a second suspect, James Edward Fawkes II, age 37, of Macon, Georgia, who currently remains at large. Unlike traditional thefts, where those that steal money or property, skimming operations victimize individuals in a very different way, and that is through the items that you see there to my right, which is both of these defendants, as a result of the skimming operation, were able to obtain identifying information of individuals that they converted to gift cards that they were able to use over a 4-state region. That ultimately becomes the proceeds of the theft and the basis for which they're charged. So what did they do? Through the work of Southside Police Department, through the assistance of our office, as well as the Bibb County, Georgia Sheriff's Office and the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, we were able to identify multiple sites in which these two individuals were engaged in skimming operations. I believe we have a map up there to be able to show the different locations in which, at this point in the investigation, we've been able to identify that the skimming operation occurred. This is one where a skimming device, at least for us locally, was at a gas station, and so that when individuals arrived to be able to pay for gas and use either a debit or a credit card, the skimming device was able to pull the identifying information off of the card and then again converted those into gift cards for the use of other individuals. The most important thing in some ways about this is that there may still be additional individuals that would be victims, but for some remarkable work from Family Savings Credit Union in Gadsden, Ms. Paula Knowles, who is with us today, who were able to identify the fraud that was going on, to alert Southside Police Department, who then engaged in excellent investigation, was able to contact our office for technical assistance, and it ultimately resulted in the arrest that we're here to talk about today. So not only are we proud of the law enforcement and what they've been able to do, but again, the purpose of today is also to acknowledge for individuals that we need to be paying attention to our credit card statements. We need to be paying attention to our bank statements, because but for the good work of Ms. Knowles along with the law enforcement here, we would continue to have that skimming device in place. We would continue to have individuals and institutions that would be victims, and we wouldn't even know that a crime had occurred. And so I think part of the message from all of us today is that individuals have the responsibility to be vigilant about their own identifying information. You know, one of the ways to avoid being a victim in a case like this is not to use your credit card or debit card at the gas pump, but instead to actually go inside and to be able to allow for the person working at the gas station to be able to take your credit information there. We also have seen not only this being used at gas pumps, but we've also seen it at ATMs, which again is another reason for those that use a debit or a credit card to make sure that you're paying attention to your financial information, to know and to notify your bank immediately and law enforcement as well when there's concerns that there may be a fraudulent transaction, and then also to engage in steps that if you become the victim of identity theft, to make sure that the credit bureaus and others are aware of that information to cancel that credit card so that we can stop this from happening in the future. Told you there are other folks here far more important than me that were part of this operation. I do want the mayor to be able to come forward first, and then we're going to hear from Chief Jones.
Thank you, Steve. First of all, I want to welcome all of you to Southside. I also want to commend my guys, Chief Jones, Detectives Robertson and Freeman, for getting the investigation started. We've had several citizens that had their debit and credit cards compromised, and I want to thank Attorney General Steve Marshall's office. Their investigators have been fantastic. I want to thank you for allowing your guys to work hand in hand with our people. It's really made a difference. Also want to thank Etowah County District Attorney Jody Willoughby for the tremendous help that he has had or helped us with. There's also been other agencies involved. We appreciate all of them. We had great cooperation from financial institutions, and this just goes to show you how everyone working together can make a difference. And it's turned out some great results, and again, I want to thank all of you for being here. And at this time, I want to ask Chief Jones if he would come up and make a few comments.
Morning. I would just reiterate what's been said before. If you notice something on your credit card statement, you need to contact your financial institution. For possibly people traveling through that might have stopped, you might see this and not be local. Contact our office. We'd be happy to work the case for you. I'm very proud to stand here in front of you today. This case involved over a dozen law enforcement agencies, with our officers actually participating with Bibb County Sheriff David Davis's investigators in Macon, Georgia, to effect this arrest and to be able to get the arrest warrants for the other subject. Jake Frith, the agent from the AG's office, has been wonderful. He's been the biggest help to our guys as far as the reach of the AG's office as opposed to our smaller department. I can't tell you how proud I am of our investigators, Deputy Chief Roberts, for the effort they put into this case. But right now, I'll go ahead and turn it over to the man that knows the inside and out. Deputy Chief.
I can make a statement or I can take your questions. Which one do you want?
Let's go make a statement first.
Okay, fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, this case absolutely personifies cooperation, not only among law enforcement, but local businesses as well. Ms. Knowles from Family Savings Credit Union was instrumental in her efforts of quickly identifying this point of compromise at a local gas station, and then from there we were able to quickly engage and reach out to other agents and deputies from the Attorney General's office and neighboring counties and other jurisdictions, and then crossed over into other state lines. As Chief Jones said, Sheriff David Davis was overwhelmingly supportive of our efforts to come into his jurisdiction and to help us make this arrest and identify this other suspect. So the cooperation among the law enforcement agencies, that's what made this case successful. It wasn't an individual, but I do want to commend Jake Frith, who's trying to hide right now behind everyone else. But Agent Frith from the Alabama Attorney General's office took me to school over the last couple of weeks and taught me a lot that I didn't know after 23 years in law enforcement. So Agent Frith, I'm very, very thankful for you. If you have any questions, I mean, I can answer those. I'm better at questions, I swear to God.
Yeah, well, let's let Jody go ahead and
Okay,
speak,
sir.
and then we'll get that.
Good morning. The quick identification of these individuals and the halting of their illegal skimming operation, I mean, it highlights everything that everyone up here has already said today, and that's just the absolute commitment to excellence and the pursuit of justice and just an incredible collaboration among all the law enforcement agencies. I'm proud to see that occur as DA. I think that's something that you guys have heard from me in conferences before about the collaboration among our agencies and how proud I am of that. And I'm thankful every day that I get to work alongside this caliber of law enforcement officers, whether it be local, state, county, neighboring counties. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm proud. It makes my job at the end of the day easier for their hard work. So thank you again, and Family Savings, y'all doing a wonderful job for your customers as well. So thank you, guys.
At this point, we'll be glad to open it up for questions.
Question for Assistant Chief Roberts. If you will, walk us through how the point of compromise in Southside led to all the other compromises, and then ultimately the identification.
On the 12th of April, I actually took a report from a lady who said that her card had been compromised and utilized in the city of Hoover. I did that on the 12th. We took that report. I emailed that over to Ms. Knowles that evening. The next morning, Ms. Knowles contacted me because based on that report, she started digging a little deeper. And in her digging, I believe she uncovered a couple of dozen potential victims, and that she was able to identify the point of compromise at a local station here in Southside. From there, we drove out, went to Hoover to get some surveillance video, and made several phone calls between here and the city of Hoover on the 13th of April. But one of those phone calls, I was able to obtain the information for Agent Frith with the Alabama Attorney General's office. Called him blind, had never spoken to the man before, and his graciousness was overwhelming, and his support was absolutely overwhelming. Agent Frith and another agent from the Alabama Attorney General's office drove up the evening of the 13th, and I believe we were out here at about 10 o'clock at night checking gas pumps in the city. But then it was just good old-fashioned police work. I mean, at the end of the day, Agent Frith and I went to multiple locations in the cities of Hoover, Vestavia Hills, Pelham, Birmingham, throughout Jefferson County, and we were finally able to get that video surveillance that led us to not only photographs of these individuals making transactions, but then finally of the tag number of the vehicle they were utilizing. And then from there, that resulted in search warrants and subpoenas being sent to obtain more information. And once we were able to get that information, we identified Ms. Crafter as the person who had rented a vehicle out of Macon, Georgia. And then Agent Frith reached out to the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and as well as the Bibb County Sheriff's Office there in Georgia, and made those contacts, told them what we were investigating and that the suspects resided in their municipalities and in their county. And their graciousness as well was overwhelming. We were met, I believe, by 9 deputies from the Bibb County Sheriff's Office Property Crimes Unit, agents from the Georgia Bureau of Investigation, and then from there, because of our discovery from the search warrant of narcotics in the residence there in Georgia, we ended up teaming up with some of their narcotics unit as well from the Bibb County Sheriff's Office. So this case not only helped the victims in Alabama that we serve here in Etowah County in the city of Southside, but it helped residents in the state of Georgia, Mississippi, and Colorado as well, because I believe the furthest person that was victimized in this case was Parker, Colorado. So, does that kind of answer your question, Dixon?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you have a running total of how much money overall was stolen?
Right now, we're at officially over $43,000, but more reports are coming in. We do still have the one suspect, Mr. Crafter, at large. Mr. Crafter, we've had surveillance video of him as recent as the 27th of April, utilizing cards. And Attorney General Marshall pointed this out just a moment ago, but they take these cards and they run them through an encoder and wipe the information off of them, and then run them through again and put the stolen credit card information on there. When they walk up to a point of transaction, it looks like they've got a Visa or a MasterCard or just any other type of debit card in their hand. The clerks really are just unaware of what's going on. They were actually able to gain access to PIN numbers. So with access to PIN numbers, Agent Frith and I determined that, or were made aware when we got there and we served the search warrant, that some of these cards, when you flipped them over, had the PIN numbers written on the back.
Just reiterate some of the locations they hit when they were purchasing with the cards again.
Well, we were able to find the major purchase that they made with all these cars were money orders, Western Union money orders. These money orders were made in the amounts between $1,000, some up to $2,900. And they were doing this because they know they're knowledgeable of the law. Money orders under a certain amount, you don't have to provide identification. And so that's what they were obtaining money orders for. The remainder of that, they actually, I think we found 70-something pairs of women's shoes, multiple big screen TVs, smart televisions in the home, brand new washer and dryer. Every child that was in that residence had a brand new PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo DS. So she was living large on other people's hard work. There are other folks up here that are more knowledgeable than me. If anybody has got any other questions, I promise. Any other questions?
Talk a little bit about what they were using to skim information.
I'm going to turn that over to Agent Frith. He's our expert on that.
Show and tell time?
Show and tell time. Jake Frith with the Attorney General's office. What I'm holding in my hand are 2 types of skimmers that are used to take money from gas station card readers. They go behind the door to the pump, so you're not able to see them. This particular one is a Bluetooth, and I'll make it available over there for y'all to get a better picture of if you want. This particular skimmer is a Bluetooth skimmer. This particular skimmer right here, they have to take out and actually download the data from it. This is what we believe was at the gas station here in Southside. So the way it works is this: they just connect the cords that run into the card reader and into the system that processes the payments, and they just put this in the middle so that it captures all the data. So really what you're looking at is a cybercrime. It's what we call a passive man-in-the-middle attack, because you're sniffing network traffic from the financial system of the gas station, and that's how they obtain the data.
Anything else? No, thank you all very much.